Hi everybody, hope you're well. This is part 26 of 31 Days in August. If you saw the previous video with the JSA number 70 comic, you'll know that the reason why I didn't put a video up yesterday. Excuse me, today's comic, which was part of Friday's random viewer's choice review video, was picked by Adam DFX, and he gave me box 11, comic number 152, which was Hawkman number 14. Also by Jeff Jones. And in this series, Jones tried to make a character who had an extremely confusing and entangled continuity into an understandable character and a well-liked character as well. I mean, Hawkman has been one of those comic book characters that has had so many, like the character himself, has had so many incarnations and reboots and reimaginings and rethinks that it is hard to figure out what is going on with him. I think this is like about the 4th or 6th series with Hawkman in it, not including the series Hawkworld as well, which had a completely different character starring in it and that, but was still intertwined with the Hawkman mythos. In this issue, we find Hawkman fighting with one of his old enemies, the Gentleman Ghost, and it turns out that the reason why the Gentleman Ghost is constantly battling Hawkman is because a previous incarnation of Hawkman murdered the actual living body of the Gentleman Ghost. He thought that the character Nighthawk, which was supposed to be the cowboy version of the cowboy western character, who was meant to be an incarnation of the spirit of Katahal, who was an Egyptian prince, who was the original incarnation of the present day Hawkman. Are you with me for the moment? See what I mean about being convoluted and and intertwined in that? Nighthawk murdered the living Gentleman Ghost, who was the name of Craddock, because he thought he was forcing himself upon a character called Cinnamon, who was the incarnation of the original princess Shiara, who was Egyptian princess who was married to Katahal, who is the original incarnation of Hawkgirl. Still with me? Right, I'm sure there's somewhere on the internet, I'm sure there's somewhere, if you Google it, you'll probably be able to find a perfect timeline of every incarnation that the Hawks have gone through, from Katahal and Shiara to Carter Hall and Shearer nowadays. And that, as I said, that's the reason why the Gentleman Ghost is constantly harassing the Hawks, because his spirit now, in that moment of anger, where Nighthawk thought he was forcing himself onto Cinnamon, and he wasn't, they were just fighting, he basically murdered an innocent man, innocent of the crime that he thought he was committing, and in doing so, connected the Gentleman Ghost spirit with the spirits of the Hawks. Not only this, but the Gentleman Ghost also says that he has been controlling and manipulating this guy who murdered Hawkgirl's parents. When Hawkman finds this out, he understandably, both the Hawks go after this guy, where they catch him at the Hawks Museum. The murderer has just killed Hawkman's love interest, which isn't Hawkgirl at this moment in time, and in an almost repeating of history, Hawkman takes a noose, flies up to the roof of the museum, and is just about to hang the murderer when Hawkgirl turns around and says, "Look, he might have murdered my parents, and he might have murdered the person that you love now, but there is no reason to murder him. We should do this the right way. Killing him is no point. Making yourself a murderer is no way to avenge somebody." Hawkman, realizing that Hawkgirl was correct, drops the murderer and the rope and walks away. Just as he's doing this, the hands of the gentleman ghost appear, tie the rope around the railings of the roof of the museum, and pushes the murderer over the side of the roof, snapping his neck and killing him. When Hawkman confronts the gentleman ghost with why he did this, the gentleman ghost just turns around and says it's purely because of revenge. It's purely because of what he did in an previous incarnation to his mortal body is the reason why he is doing these things to the Hawks now. Jeff Jones was an absolutely phenomenal writer. In a sense, he still is. What he's doing with Aquaman, taking a character that is essentially a B-list character and trying to make him into a character that everybody enjoys reading the adventures of and liking, is quite a monumental task, really. I mean, Aquaman has always been the sort of like the butt of superhero jokes, really, to a certain extent, and he tried to do exactly the same thing with Hawkman. Hawkman isn't really an A-list character. He's not a Green Lantern. He's not a Flash. He's not a Batman or a Superman or a Wonder Woman. Hawkman, whether it's because of his confusing continuity in history or whether it's just because he's not a character that everybody can really like, has never been one of those characters that everyone goes, wow, I want to read his comics, I want to see what's happening. Did Jones sort out the continuity on Hawkman? Sort of. By the end of this, you did have more understanding of the history of the character, and it did make more sense when you read previous volumes of the character as well, including Hawkworld. And Jones did an absolutely bang-up job in trying to amalgamate all of the incarnations of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Excuse me. I mean, at the end of this issue, you even see the Thanagarian Hawkwoman that was one of the main characters in the Hawkworld series. So he did a pretty good job of trying to tidy up the continuity of Hawkman, but I don't really think he made him an A-list character. He didn't really bring him to a focal point of where people would say, yeah, I'm going to keep on reading this stories for this character, which is possibly one of the reasons why Hawkman in the rebooted DC universe isn't really doing much. But that's by the by. So yeah, saying that, if you can find any issues of the Jeff Jones run of Hawkman or the trade paperbacks of that, I highly recommend you reading it, because it is definitely one of Jones's better series that he's written on. I think it's miles better than what he's doing in the Justice League comic at the moment. As I said in the previous video, what's happening in the Justice League is just it's just mindless, really. I mean, there's no character development, there's no story to it. It is just mindless. We're superheroes, you're the supervillain, let's have a fight, and that's it. You know, it is considering it's supposed to be the DC flagship title, it is a throwaway comic. You know, it's like a movie that you go into, you just take your brain out, enjoy it for about however long it takes for you to watch the movie or to read the comic, and then at the end of it, you put it to one side and go, what was that again? What happened in that? You know, but then there you go. You can't have great comics all the time. Yes. So tomorrow, hopefully, this doing 2 videos today has put me back on track now. All barring any unseen for circumstances, I should be doing a review on Manhunter number 25, which was picked for us by your prowling buddy. And if you saw Friday's video, you'll realise how much of a pain in the arse that was to get that comic. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, should be back tomorrow. So, see you then. And, yeah, ta-ta for now.